Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 6 of What If Naruto Was the Grand Priest and Omni King Reincarnation. Remember to get this one too. 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, guys, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family, guys. So without further ado or wasting any more time, don't forget to turn on the bell notification. How about we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin the intro. So the last spot we left off, Hinata refused for her sister to be branded with a curse mark. It was something that she was trying to break. She wanted to stop their clan from that old savage ritual, and she wasn't going to allow it. However, she knew that many would oppose her, and at the moment she did not possess the strength or the influence despite her being the next in line to be clan head. The elders would go against her. They would never allow her to see this overcome. So she brought someone that she knew could help her, and that was Naruto. Many believe that they can overcome him, especially the elders. However, Naruto proved them wrong. With a mere fluctuation of his power, all of them were frightened. Naruto also got the elder to speak the truths, well, the lies that he's been saying to the people. It turns out that he was responsible for. He told me his death. He told me being Hinata's and Hanabi's mother. He believed that she was weakened in Hayashi. It was Hayashi's own father. Naruto did them a favor as he erased the man. He held up the staff that he always carried as he simply removed the mark from their head just like that. And he stood there as a deterrent. He told them that there would be no war, because if they did go to war with each other, he would simply erase them. Hinata was grateful for all of his help and him standing by her during this dilemma. Naruto told her that is what friends are for, so she didn't even have to mention it, as she was grateful to him for that. The days passed by as Naruto met Jiraiya of the Sannin. The Sannin was truly shocked to what Naruto could actually do, while Hiruzen did not give him much information on the boy. His imagination was truly lacking when he heard what he heard. Throughout the time, Naruto did not really need any assistance or any help in any training matter. After all, he didn't really need anything at all. He also spent some time with Sadara as well, who was a bit worried about how she was going to represent the clan. So with that, the day finally came around. The Raikage was here as well, as Naruto was to be facing off against Samui. Before that, there was Sadara and Hinata completely obliterate their opponents, showing how much both girls have grown immensely. As for Naruto's opponent, he decided to flex a bit, giving her opportunity to strike him down. And she did, but her sword shattered across his face. She was shocked. All of them were truly shocked to what they just witnessed, as Naruto stood there completely unarmed, completely fine. Her blade had shattered across his face. It made absolutely no sense. How could he possess such power? It was a frightening realization. He defeated her pretty quickly, like it was nothing. causing the Raikage to remember what he was told a long time ago about the boy that possessed abilities that seemed magical. Harrison was not given any information on that though, which angered the Raikage as well. Soon after the invasion began, as Naruto did something rather crazy. He sent all the bodies of the Sound Ninjas to another dimension. They can see but they could not hear. He then killed them all by crushing them together in a tiny ball before he sent them into the heavens and sent them out of space just like that. Naruto appeared in the dome and massacred each and every Sound Ninja. As he created a dome for himself, the Sound Four fell. He sent his father and the others back to the pure world, as he told Hiruzen that this was his opportunity to finish Orochimaru once and for all. The Raikage was stunned and shocked by all of this that the child was doing with such ease. While that was going on, Sadara and Sasuke were fighting off against Gaara and winning as they were taking him down. However, Gaara started to lose control. Naruto abruptly showed up and sealed the beast inside of him back. Temari and the others came as they begged to spare Gaara's life. The Sand was tricked into this. However, Sasuke didn't want to do that, and with Naruto not there, he tried to attack Gaara, but Hinata and Sadara stood up against him, the both of them having each other back, which the both of them thanked each other for. Sasuke was furious, but he had no choice but to leave, as the Sand siblings left with their sibling. With that, they were gone. The first time Gaara was suffering such a humiliating defeat, perhaps it would have drastic changes on him. It was soon after that the girls were heading back to the village, the both of them becoming more friends than they ever thought they would ever be. However, something strange happened as the both of them stepped forward. They were pulled into a strange rift, and they were gone. Yes, they simply vanished just like that. They were nowhere to be seen. They were gone. No one having any idea except for one. The moment Naruto felt it, he arrived towards the scene. He had a feeling who was behind this. That is when several magical orbs appear around Naruto. He shattered each and every one of them. It was his power. He always had to contain his power at a drastic level because it was always too threatening to wipe away the earth. So he contained them. But now, these beings stole two people that were important to him. So he was going to erase them. He was going to erase them all. It's time he showed them who was the god of all gods. So yeah guys, basically let's play it off. You guys can switch across the place of yourself. So we jump right into this brand new episode begin. Now guys, one moment they were simply walking back to the village to help as much as they could. The next, they found themselves in a void. An empty void. Gray. There was nothing around except for gray. There was no distance that was too far or too close. It hurt their mind to even think about it as they looked at it. Where are we? Said Sadara, concern in her tone. Hinata looked around. She brought her hand up as she tried to activate her Byakugan, but that was a mistake. The next moment she dropped to the ground screaming. Sadara rushed towards her, confused what exactly she was running on because there was no floor. Are you alright? She said, checking on her friend. Hinata slowly started to calm down. She held her head. When I activated my Byakugan, it was like there was nothing and there was everything all at once. I don't recommend activating your Sharingan, she said, looking around. I don't think this is a genjutsu. I think we were transported to somewhere else, Sadara said. But who would have done this? Hinata recalled. Do you remember that thing that came for Naruto? And he said that he had enemies out there. You think they're using us to get to him? Both girls were angry to hear that, as they didn't want it to be a burden, especially for someone that they cut themselves off at the same time in their mind. As they looked around, "We have to find a way to get out of here," said Sadara. "Is there anywhere to go?" Hinata said, looking around, not seeing anything that could help them. Time passed by, and it was strange. They didn't know if a day or hours had passed. Time didn't feel normal in here. The both of them had tried to walk, however, that led them nowhere at all. So they found themselves just seated. Strangely enough, they didn't feel hungry, nor did they feel tired. They just felt nothing. It made no sense. Granted, they still had emotions, but it was like they were stuck, stagnant. The girls did not know how much time had passed as they sat there, not really doing anything, talking, trying to pass the time, hoping that they would get rescued because they had no idea how to leave this place. So Sadara said, "You think we're gonna die?" Hinata looked towards her. "Why do you have to become all cynical?" "I'm just stating the obvious. We're stuck here. If Naruto knew where we were, he would have been here already, and you know that. Whoever took us, what if they're far stronger than him? And you know how strong Naruto is. That thing that fought him, you saw what they did with just their punch. And that thing said that it was sent here, the destroyer, whatnot. What if it's the person that created it? So, I'm just stating the obvious." Hinata lowered her head. "I don't want to die," she said. "I've finally gotten the things on track. My clan is moving in the right direction. I've spared Hanami from that horrible fate. Things are going so well with Naruto." She paused, looking towards Sadara. "What do you mean by that?" Sadara asked. Nothing," Hinata said. "No, it's something. Tell me," Sadara said, moving forward. "I said it's nothing," Hinata said, backing away. "Oh, I see. You like him, don't you?" What?" Hinata said, her cheeks becoming red. I don't know what you're talking about, but of course I like him as a friend. He's my friend after all." "Well, I'm not talking about as a friend. Besides, if we are going to die, what's the point of keeping secrets?" As Sadara bite down hard, her cheeks turning red. "Because I like him." Hinata blinked here and that as she looked towards her, wondering if she was hearing correctly. "So I'm gonna ask you one more time. Do you like him?" she said. Hinata looking away. "Then I guess we have a problem," Hinata said. "Because I like him as well." The both of them simply staring at one another, not knowing how to move on beyond this point. Until Sadara sighed. "Who am I kidding? I've been trying to trick myself that I only saw him as a friend, but I guess I was just trying to trick myself. I believe you were trying to do the same. It's just, whenever he's around, I feel safe. This warm feeling that makes me happy." Hinata looked towards her. I feel the same way," she said, looking at her with a shocked look on her face. "I guess we do have a problem then," Sadara said, in a joking manner. "We both like the same guy, who is too nice to either of us, to hurt either of us. So we're gonna have to solve this one ourselves." "I guess you're right," the both of them said, their gaze turning into a glare. Their healthy competition was actually helping them a lot, forgetting about the vast emptiness that they were currently stuck in. A far, far distance away, it started with a planet. There was an eruption. However, it didn't stop there. Countless planets were being swallowed. But it didn't stop there though. Galaxies were being wiped out of existence. But it didn't stop there though. All galaxies were being erased. However, it didn't stop there. After the galaxies plundered into nothingness, the violent blast spread even further and ripped and tore the entire universe asunder. One after another, universes were falling like flies, reducing to dust, trillions, quadrillions were dying again and again and again and again and again, like it was nothing. Someone was erasing universes just like that. Meanwhile, within Death's dimension, he felt it. He felt all life ending. He could feel every single one of them. However, his Reapers, absolutely none of them returned with a single soul. Death was shocked. Quadrillions were being wiped out across countless universes, and no soul was returning. They simply ceased to exist, they were gone. Immediately, he started to look into the matter. The moment he felt the numbers falling, he knew something was wrong. And then he saw it. He saw who was behind it, and he was angered by it. However, this move made no sense. Something had to happen. Death left his realm as he went to another. Death stood in a void when suddenly life, time, and space all appeared at once. "Which one of you did it?" he said, his voice coming out as dark as usual. They looked at him as Time. Time was the one that spoke. "I made a move. Without our consent." Death was angry. And a being like this doesn't usually get angry, but he was angry. "You have no idea what this thing has been doing. He's been messing with time. I can feel it. He's created his own separate dimension and is breaking time down little by little. And I will not stand by and allow him to mess with something that is mine. So I took those 2 girls that belong to him. I have them stored away in a pocket that he can never find. And I will use them to bring him to me. And then I will wipe him out once and for all. Because I am done waiting. Do you have any idea what you've done? I'm sure you felt timelines ending. Have you not? How many lives had fallen? The whole balance of the universe is now off its course. Everything has changed. This thing, as you put it, has the power not only to wipe away entire universes, but entire timelines. And he's exercising that power in a fit of rage, I believe. It doesn't matter, because he's coming to me. I've laid my traps. It doesn't matter who has to die, or what has to die. It's time I put an end to this. He's tampered with time long enough, and I will erase him. And none of you will get involved. I will not allow him to mess with my aspect anymore. This is where I finish him. Time said, walking off. Wait. Life called out to him. You've seen what he's done. His power is great. Maybe even don't. Time said, cutting him off. It doesn't matter what he is. He can never stand up to time itself. I do not need any of your helps. I will take this down myself because I am the only one around here who seem to be having the best interests of the entire multiverse, while the rest of you sit and watch and wait. So do as you must, but I will finish this myself. With that, he was gone. We have to do something, said Space. You know how time gets. If we were to get involved right now, he will find it as an insult and lash out at us as well. And with us fighting against each other, things would be worse than what it is right now. As life could feel it. There's so many lives being ended. It's best if we just allow him to put an end to this once and for all. This thing might be powerful, however, there is no way that it can stand up to time itself. They look towards Death, waiting a response. However, he simply disappeared in a shadow of darkness. I have a really bad sensation that something will go horribly wrong. Space said, standing there. Moments later, finally, as Naruto stood within emptiness, having just erased another universe, leaving nothing in his wake. Having released every ounce of his power, it pushed his body to maturity. The only reason why he was retaining a normal age was because he wanted to. Because he suppressed his power, which suppressed the adult side of himself. Because his body grew a long time ago. But now, having released all of that power, his features has changed. His hair now was fully white mostly. The tip of the strands going down were purple and blue. His clothing also matched that as well, as he was wearing a vest. A purple vest with blue trimmings going down the side. It fluttered out towards his feet, where he was wearing dark pants. Long sleeve shirt underneath the vest, with blue wristbands. There was also a symbol in his chest, an upside down triangle, and a normal triangle pointing at each other. It was a marking that was also in his forehead as well, but much smaller, and it was glowing. Naruto waited as he felt what he was looking for some time now, and it finally arrived. There was no flash, no flicker, nothing at all. He just exists. One moment there, where he was not. It was time. Naruto tilted his head as the both of them came face to face. "It was you," said Naruto. "That energy that I felt. You're the one that took them." "Give them to me," said Naruto. "Did you really believe that it would be that easy?" Time said. "I will not ask again," Naruto said, as he was calm, looking at time itself, and he was dead calm. Time stood where he was. "No," he said. "Did you really think by throwing a tantrum, by wiping out a few universes, you will get what you want? Oh, I did that not for your sake, but for mine, and also to show the rest of your friends. I presume there are more, given the energies that I can feel, that I'm not one to be trifled with. You know, time and time again, I've refrained from doing anything because I simply don't care. In my own world, I could end war. I could stop all violence with a flick of my wrist. But I do not. I could end all suffering, stop all poverty. I could fix the entire multiverse by myself, but I don't, because I don't care. There are not many things in this world that I care about, but those girls, I care for them. And I can tell you that right here and now, because I do not fear what you will do, because even if you do kill them, even if you do erase them to a point that I cannot find them, it doesn't matter, because nothing would be left. I will strip this entire multiverse down to nothing, wiping out you and your kind. I will strip away reality itself. So you go ahead and take something from me, and I'll take everything from you. So I'm not going to ask you again, but I am going to count to 5. And what is going to happen next is not something that you're going to like. You arrogant, insignificant worm. Do you have any idea who I am? You faced a destroyer and you destroyed him. You believe that you could stand up to something like me? I am time! Suddenly, Naruto was slammed with an immense, terrible force. His body was knocked through reality itself. It seems like it shattered like glass. Naruto landed on a space that was firm. His body was being crushed in it. There is nothing that can withstand the movement of time. And I will crush you with it, said Time, as he simply stepped into the universe like it was nothing. He was crushing Naruto. 1. Naruto finished his count. As he slowly started to get to his feet, Time staggered back slightly, shocked to what he was seeing. He applied more pressure as he extended both of his hands. Yet Naruto still started to rise. How are you doing this? He asks. Frustration clearly being in his tone. I told you what will happen when I finish counting. You think this can hold me back? I've transcended time a long time ago. Besides, I've been working on something very special recently. Perhaps that's the reason why you choose to make a move against me. Because in order to move with my project, I had to tamper with time. On a reality scale, Naruto got up, his body was surrounded by a white aura. Lifting his hand up as he was moving freely, Time was shocked. This is my time. What? Yes, you heard that correctly. I don't like to be bound by anything that I have no control over. I already have control over reality around me. All known energy of existence, strength, speed, light, sound, but not time. So I decided to create my own, a flow of time that you or no other in this entire multiverse can control. It belongs to me. I use it to rupture your time, which I'm sure that you felt. And with this, your existence means nothing to me. How dare you, said Time. You think you can create some off-brand and defeat me? I am the original, he roared. With that, he started to hit Naruto with the flow of time. Normally, this would age someone 1 billion years in 1 nanite of a second. And he hit Naruto with 2 trillion worth. And that was processing on a nanite of a second, which would age him to unknowns. Yet, Naruto was pushing through it. Time was startled, unable to understand how this was even possible. He started to push more and more. And for the first time since he was brought into existence, fear started to course through him. He raised his hand, the whips of time appearing. They were green as they started to whip down. One of them slapped down on Naruto's hand and ruptured through his time. It also removed Naruto's hand in the process. Time was glowing with an unbelievable amount of power, having pushed himself to the max. The whips were erasing causality around time itself, erasing all known time. That included Naruto time as well. Because Naruto time, while immensely powerful and also separate, it was still time. But it was just operating on a different scale, a different fraction of reality that this time does not operate on. But it still can be disrupted, just like what Naruto did to the original. However, in a second, Naruto's hand re-emerged like it was nothing. Naruto started to move at a speed beyond the speed of light, far beyond it, because time was far faster. Naruto kept blinking in and out of existence. He dashed. Reality itself was collapsing in on itself as time roared out, the whips tearing reality and fracturing time, ripping through space, dipping into other dimension. It was truly chaotic and problematic. The backlash was causing severe damage to the universe around them. That was until Naruto caught one of the whips, shocking time as he paused in his rage. Naruto started to squeeze, applying an amount of force and pressure that started to crack the space around his hand. And the whip broke. It exploded, erasing a section of time. He was shocked, frazzled, as Naruto grabbed another and snapped it. He started to move in. Time started to back away. He held his hand up and fractured time itself. Every ounce of it. He tried to freeze Naruto in place, however, Naruto smashed right through it like it was glass. Stop! He shouted in rage and fear. Unable to slow Naruto in his conquest of reaching him, he started to freeze the space between them and freeze the area around them. He flew beyond the universe that they were in and captured it in a space of time that was irrelevant to the rest of time. He then plunged it into a dimension where time was not a factor, where nothing flowed and everything was frozen. A dimension that if he put the girls in, they would simply cease to exist. He closed that dimension and shred the existence of time around it, erasing it from the timeline. With Naruto on the inside, it's over. He was interrupted. He looked behind him as a space in between him and the existence around him shattered. Naruto hand appearing out of that space and plunging through his chest. With his bare hands alone, Naruto ripped him in two. He then released a powerful ki blast and incinerate both halves. However, time fractured himself in a space and simply brought himself back. However, the look on his face was shock. For the first time since his creation, he was reduced to atoms, shredded. If he did not save his place within time, he would have been gone. Did you really believe that would work? That you could trap me? I told you already that I am operating on my own time. While you are still the original, you cannot control me, you cannot bind me, you cannot trap me. And you made a mistake coming after them. And there will be no more salvation. No more working things out. No more hesitation. All that is left is that I erase you right out of existence. You fool. These girls that you care about so much, what makes you believe that they won't just cease to exist? What makes you believe that all of existence won't just vanish with my destruction? I am time itself. I do not care, said Naruto. What do you mean you don't care? You want them alive, do you not? Naruto stepped forward as time backed away. What's wrong? Afraid? Naruto said, stepping towards him. I warned you what would happen, but you did not take my warning seriously. And I'm not here to warn anymore. Naruto dashed forward, breaking through every causality of time that time tried to trap him with. Naruto cleared the distance, as it was a fraction of a nanosecond. However, time released a powerful time quake that pushed Naruto through and sent him at the dawn of time. However, Naruto was back with a nanosecond, breaking through the space and time between them, jumping into the reality. Time wasn't a fighter, as he did not possess the capability to throw fists or punches. It was not something that he was designed for. He could simply erase people from existence after all. So it was not something that he ever had to do. He was time. Having Naruto approach him like this, he was afraid. For the first time since his creation, he was afraid. He lashed out with 1,000,000,000,000 whips. As 10 trillion ki blasts were shot from all known point of this universe. He started to destroy them one after another. However, Naruto split the distance by carving through space. Naruto blew his head clean off by simply punching it off. He then grabbed his body and spin and launched him into the sky, creating a ki blast that consumed half of the universe. Naruto hit him with it. The entire universe went up in a violent light show. However, time reappeared itself outside of the universe, only for Naruto to appear and grab him. He turned around with a shocked look. Naruto yanked him down and pulled him. The both of them speeding through space. Beyond, far, far beyond the speed of time and sound. And light as well. Naruto threw him as he broke into another existence, where Naruto copied himself in that existence, in that time frame that belongs to him. He punched him so hard that it cracked reality. The other Naruto came down and dropped his hands into his head. He plundered into known, unknown existence. Another Naruto, another cause of Naruto's own time meddling. It was a fraction of himself as he simply multiplied himself by using his own time. An existence where he still exists and an existence where he always exists. All three of them came in. A ki blast that was small, and yet the amount of power that it packed, it fractured them into a new reality. Once again, though, time reappeared, and this time he started to flee. The more and more Naruto destroyed him, the more and more Naruto was wiping out time itself. He was destroying it, but time was so overlapping and so massive that it seemed to have no end, but Naruto was finding an end. Time started to jump through other realities, other timeline, trying to escape, trying to run for his life. He blinked as two fingers pressed against his forehead as Naruto stood in front of him. Naruto's other hand lashed out and grabbed his right hand. He pulled his arm down and grabbed his left. "Well, let go of me," he said, trying to escape. He tried to phase away, he tried to jump into another timeline, but he could not. You're right about one thing. Destroying you will not be the wise thing to do. So I have another idea in mind. Time was shocked as he felt what Naruto was doing. The reason why he could not jump. Naruto was merging the both of them together, bringing two causality together. The very notion of what he was doing was opening up thousands of black holes in the universe, rupturing reality. Time tried to fight as he released trillions of whips. They slapped and hit against Naruto, however, Naruto started to release his own time, fracturing himself into it. The two times clashed against each other, creating vibrations that were wiping out galaxies, tearing north, south, east galaxies to pieces. It then expanded and started to rip universes around them apart, ending so many lives. Time roared as he tried to escape, as both him and Naruto went up in a violent light that consumed half of a universe. It was so bright, thousands instantly lost their sight. Thousands was vaporized by just the heat that produced from this light. When the light died down, Time stood there. He seemed fine. It seems like Naruto had lost. However, when he moved, his body started to retract, his features changing, until they show none other than Naruto. Naruto held his hand up as a green whip extended from his palm. Naruto looked into it and saw an entire timeline. He reached out and grabbed it before he tore it to shreds. That entire timeline was erased, ripped to sunders. It was gone, removed from reality itself, just gone. Immediately they felt it. Death, space, life. Time was no more. He was gone. Yet time was still flowing. However, the causality of time had changed. It seemed normal, but it was flowing differently. Many other beings in other universes were aware of this. But not just that. The creature at the end of time, the being that would devour all life at the end of time, also felt it as well. But not only that as well. The creator, the one that formed the entire multiverse, that created death, time, space, in life. For the first time, he felt one of his children erased, their existence gone, but time was still kept together. Everything that was near this level of power felt it. Shibai Osusuki could feel the fluctuation, the causality disappearance in time. It all changed. As Naruto stood there, once again proving that he was a superior being. As he conquered time itself and overpowered time with his own creation, now taking the title God of Time. With time now under his control, Naruto could feel them stored away. Meanwhile, both girls have been talking for a long time, having felt tremors shaking the place that they were in, but trying to find a place to escape still led to nothing at all. As they simply started to talk, they had a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of realizations in here. That was until the entire known reality around them exploded, shocking them all. They looked up as he descended down towards them. At first they were shocked as they saw his face, as Naruto looked rather different, all grown up, different. It made them blush, which caused them to look at one another. Given their discussion, they looked away from each other immediately. However, the next moment, Sadara asks, Naruto, is it really you? Yes, it is, he said. They wasted no time as they ran forward. They hugged him. They were terrified. Yes, they were to keep their mind off of their pending destruction, but they were scared beyond their wildest imagination. Having never faced something like this before or been in a situation like this before, they were frightened. However, he saved them. Yes, he saved them. So they hugged him. They hugged him for dear life, soon realizing as they became embarrassed because a lot of time passed. Well, it was just a minute, but that was a long time. They released him, both of them blushing. However, Naruto simply smiled. Why do you two seem so surprised? He said. You saved us, Sadara said. Was there even a question that I would not, said Naruto. As long as I exist, you two will always be safe. With that, Naruto held his hand up as the orbs erupted from his body, caused him to revert back to his normal child form. His hair returning back to normal, his face, the markings, his clothing returning back to normal. However, there was now an insignia in his palm, an hour clock. Naruto extended his hand to the both of them, and they took it. The next moment, all of them went up in a green light. They reappeared back on the elemental nation. They were confused, as Naruto had brought them back to the moment that they were taken. They heard the fighting going on. But we were gone for so long. How is this possible? Sadara said. The one that took you was time. I defeated him and took his power. Wait, you defeated time? Hinata said, looking at him strangely. What do you mean by that? Sadara said. Is it a metaphor? No. Time. The one that controls all of time. Wait. Let me get this straight. Time itself. You fought time. Yes. The most powerful being I've come across so far. However, my desire to save you both seemed to have been stronger. So I absorbed him. And now I have control over time, said Naruto. Well, two separate causality of time, that is. Both girls looked towards him. Are you two okay? Yeah, Hinata said. Just give us a minute, said Sadara. You really have to understand that what you're saying sounds really insane, right? Yes, I know, said Naruto. Just don't think too much on it. Now, shall we? With that, they start to make their way back to the village. Meanwhile, Hiruzen Sarutobi was taking in deep breaths. Orochimaru was not doing so well. He was not doing good at all. The Raikage was unfortunately stuck inside of the dome. The new dome that Naruto had created. And this was different. Absolutely none of them could break it. His guards, C and Darui, were outside, along with the other students. All of the battling had stopped in Konoha because Naruto had simply destroyed the Sound Ninjas. The Sand Ninjas had fled. They were tricked after all. That is the only reason why Naruto spared them. Because they were tricked into this. And he gave them the opportunity to flee with their life intact. As for the others, though, he erased them. The problem was Hiruzen wanted to do this on his own. With the help of the Raikage, they could have ended this already. And Hiruzen was holding back as well. Despite all the things that Orochimaru have done. Looking at the Sannin, Hiruzen was getting glances of the younger Sannin. And he think of himself as a failure. Believing that he failed so many. He even failed Snevy as well, who wasn't even with them anymore. She was outside of the village, swallowed by her grief and pity. As for Orochimaru, he's fallen off the deep end, and it seems like nothing would bring him back. Hiruzen released a deep breath. He decided that he has to steal his heart. He has to end this once and for all. Put an end to this tragedy. He needs to put Konoha first, like he's always done. And he always will do. So he steals his heart and his emotions, ready to put an end to Orochimaru once and for all. As the battle kicked off once again, the Raikage did not even feel or sense anything. He only noticed when he heard the voice. A trying time for the old man. The Raikage turned with a shocked look as Naruto was standing there. Without even turning towards him, Naruto spoke. You're probably thinking that you made a mistake all those years ago, believing that the man that you sent to kidnap the Hyuga heiress was an idiot and a fool that lost his mind. Or perhaps he was trying to justify his mistake by telling a lie. But as you can see, I am real. I was the one that stripped him of his chakra. And I'm sure that you've witnessed today a fraction of what I'm capable of. And trust me, there's a lot more. So, I hope you understand the ramifications of your actions from now on. The Raikage eyes were narrowed as he intended to show the boy that he was still a Kage. However, there was a strange aura, a sensation that his body would not listen to him. It felt like in no possible way could he attack. There was something off about this child. He simply kept his thoughts to himself. That was when Naruto vanished. The battle came to an abrupt stop as Naruto appeared in the center. Hiruzen looking at him, panting slightly. That's enough, said Naruto. You've done enough. The weight. It seems like it's too much for you to bear. You're going to allow him to kill you as well, if this battle drags on. Perhaps it's time that you vacated the position and spend time with your grandson, with the remainder of years that you have left. Besides, it's about time that the village gets a new Hokage. Don't you think, said Naruto? You don't have to put your life on the line for this one. I've told you this before, but as long as I draw breath, Konoha would be safe. And I respect you enough to intervene in this matter, said Naruto. Hiruzen's eyes widened. Behind you, he said. However, Orochimaru's blade shattered on Naruto's back. As Naruto merely raised his hand, Hiruzen and Raikage was enveloped in a light. The next moment they were outside the dome. The medics quickly rushing towards their leader to help him. Naruto then turned and faced Orochimaru. "Are you afraid?" Naruto asks. Orochimaru narrowed his gaze, trying to find a way to escape this place once again, even though he tried already and realized it was useless. "Tell me, are you afraid?" Naruto asks once again, knowing that you're about to die. Death is something that you fear. I can feel it. That is the whole reason why you've become like this, isn't it?" Naruto said, stepping forward, simply looking at him as the symbol in his hand glowed. Naruto already had knowledge that he could gain by just looking at people, but now he could see everything because he could see in the past. By simply looking at someone, knowing about their life. "You are a truly horrible person," said Naruto. "However, I don't really care about that. But you endanger people I care about by coming here with your army. And besides, I am far too powerful for people to believe that Konoha is weak. So, I use your army and I'm going to use you as well. To show the nations that we are not one to be trifled with." You would think that with all the power I possess, I would simply take this world as mine, but I found that not truly rewarding. I'm not sure why. I just want to live my life as it is. I know that there will be challenges, many hard challenges to face very soon, but I'm not worried. I'm not afraid. I never have been afraid. I don't think I possess that emotion. Granted, I'm not truly human, am I? Well, it doesn't matter anyways. Orochimaru dashed to the right, trying to evade Naruto, but the problem was Naruto exists in the same causality that Orochimaru moved right or left. It didn't matter where he went, as Naruto stood in front of him. Holding out his hand, Orochimaru was trapped as Naruto placed a finger right on his chest. Orochimaru started to age rapidly. The Sannin scream and wail, trying to escape as everyone watched the gruesome scene. Even Jiraiya. In front of their eyes, the Sannin age and age and age until there was nothing left. Until his bones became brittle. Until they became dust. Naruto waved his hand and dropped the barrier. As he stepped outside, there was a sensation of fear in the air. Granted, he belonged to the Hidden Leaf, but after what the people saw him do, well, there was a lot of respect there. They loved him ever since finding out that he was Minato's son, but the very notion of his power was terrifying. The Raikage people were also terrifying. Those who were not from this village were also terrified as well. Time skip. Not a single person within Konoha died. All because of Naruto. Hiruzen Sarutobi had a few bandages on himself, as Naruto had cleansed him of the poison that Orochimaru blade had caused, because no one else could do it. Well, except for probably one, but she was not here. Hiruzen and Jiraiya and Naruto sat in the office. Hiruzen was telling Naruto that he was right. It was about time that he gave up the title. Granted, the best person would be Naruto, because of his power and knowledge. But Naruto did not desire to be a ruler, as he found it quite ineffective and boring. He enjoyed being a ninja, going out on the road, doing missions. Stuck behind a desk was rather boring, as Jiraiya brought someone to mind. So with that, the two of them left the village to find and bring her back. Time skip. The girls had saw Naruto off, as he had made his way, and now they were both sitting down, discussing their latest, problems over tea. They both confessed to each other that they liked Naruto, and now they were back alive. And they were wondering what to do about that. They had spent a lot of time talking and neither of them was willing to give up. However, both of them were actually shy, as much as they let on, to actually tell him about it. However, it was time, they told themselves, when he returned, they would tell him and see what he says. Because there was 3 ways that this could go. And they would deal with that once he returns. But it was going to be difficult. Very so. Given the fact that the both of them were from rival clans as well. But despite that, they were friends. But it was still going to be really difficult. Time skip. So, Jiraiya said. The Sannin had a smile on his face, teasing Naruto about his interaction with his teammates. Seems like you're quite the little lady killer, he said, having your 2 teammates fawn over you like that. Naruto looked towards him. What are you talking about, he said. Jiraiya blinked. You're joking, right? Joking about what? You really haven't noticed, Sannin asked. Yes, I noticed that they care about me. Oh, it's a lot more than that, Jiraiya said, causing Naruto to look at him. Emotions. Romantic. Those things are not something I'm good on. If anything, I must confess. However, you being a world-class pervert, you can teach me, said Naruto. For one thing, Jiraiya said, getting immensely serious, I am a super pervert, causing Naruto to chuckle. Jiraiya then paused. We have been walking for a few hours now. We have no idea where Tsunade is. I've seen you do things that normal people can never even dream of. Can't you just find her? Jiraiya said, looking towards Naruto curiously. Oh yes, I can, said Naruto. The Sannin eyes started to twitch. Then why have we been walking for the past few hours, he asked. Well, for one thing, as you can see, I tend to do things a bit differently than most, despite the power I possess. Secondly, I thought we were having a bonding moment, and you were going to teach me about romantic emotions. Besides, you are my godfather, or have you forgotten? Oh yeah, right, the Sannin said, rubbing the back of his head. A distance away, a creature emerged from the ground. It was Black Zetsu. Time skip. Returning back, Zetsu report in. The leader of the organization known as Yakasuke had heard a lot of rumors. Unfortunately, Zetsu was not in Konoha to see and to tell if the rumors were accurate, but the things that he was hearing were rather shocking. It is said that more than 1,000 ninjas invaded Konoha, and not a single one died because of one boy. It was the holder of the 9 tails. Most people did not know that part. They just knew him as Minato's son. They said that he eradicated all of the enemies by himself. Not only that, he killed Orochimaru with ease. This information was something that they had to verify before sending in any of their members. Orochimaru was a S-rank ninja, and the things that they are hearing about this child, it sounds rather impossible to believe. They had a grasp of the other Jinchurikis, but this one was an unknown. He went missing for years and simply popped up back at the graduation time. So Zetsu was sent to spy on him and gather more information on him. Later that night, Naruto was being watched by many people at the moment. He could feel them. Despite the distance, despite the vast distance that could not be reached by simple transportation of walking or flying. These distances were beyond great. So many out there were watching him, observing him. However, Naruto wasn't bothered by it. If they had a problem, they can come. All of them. He was willing to take all of them on. All of them, every single last one of them. He is more than showing that He did not fear a single soul. His action of eradicating those universes was just to show them who they were messing with and why he was not a good target. Zetsu had fused himself into the wall. There he was, as he was trying to spy on Naruto as he entered the room. Jiraiya was out, gathering information as he says. By all evidence, Naruto was supposed to be sleeping. The problem was, sleeping wasn't a necessity for Naruto. He simply slept because he wanted to. He did not need to sleep. He found it more counterproductive more than anything. Naruto pulled himself up as he walked over to the wall and pushed his hand inside. Zetsu was unable to move, not believing that the child was going to do that. Naruto pulled him out of the wall. The wall was not destroyed as Naruto phased him out of it. He held Zetsu in his hand. Immediately, the white part of Zetsu started to release wood substance. However, they shatter against Naruto's skin like glass. Naruto looked at him disappointed. Do you really think I didn't know that you were there? The next moment, Zetsu was encapsulated in a cube, an unbreakable cube as he tried to break out. Naruto walked back over to his bed and simply returned back to sleeping, shocking Zetsu at his, not caring. As Zetsu simply tried for the rest of the night to break out. The next morning, Jiraiya finally arrived, having slept in one of these bars. Arriving in the room though, he was shocked to what he saw. What the hell? Naruto, he said, waking Naruto up as Naruto got to his feet. While sleeping was not a necessity, it helped him in different ways, as Naruto was able to project his consciousness throughout different timelines and realities. Zetsu was still stuck where he was. What the hell is this? Jiraiya asked. I'm not sure. It was spying on me, said Naruto. I didn't care too much about it, so I simply trapped it. Naruto stepped forward as he decided to find out what Zetsu is. He pushed his hand through as Zetsu tried to shut the Phoenix flytrap that was situated on his head. However, Naruto snapped it in two. He pulled Zetsu apart in hell, one in each of his hands. Zetsu tried to attack, but his punches and kicks were like a fly tickling Naruto. He didn't really feel anything. Naruto tilted his head. Curiosity peaked, not expecting this. The next moment, Zetsu started to scream. Slowly his body was destroyed. He was erased from reality. What the hell, Jiraiya said. It's nothing to worry about, said Naruto. Did you find her? I did get some information. However, this would go a lot easier if you simply tell me where she is. What would be the point of that? We were given a month, we're on a journey. Let's enjoy it. The Sanin sighed, fine. But what the hell was that a moment ago? I said it was not really anything. It was something because that creature, that robe that he was wearing, I've heard about it. It's a group known as the Akatsuki. And I got some rather damning information recently that they're going after tailed beasts. I thought it was just a rumor, but he came after you. So they know, said Jiraiya. Naruto stepped forward. The reason I said it was nothing is because it's really nothing. They do not pose a threat. Before Naruto could open the door though, someone was already stepping through. The person did not open the door, they simply stepped through. And now they stood there. White hair, Jogan in both eyes. Hello there, Naruto Uzumaki. Or would you prefer Namikaze? As Naruto looked up towards him. Let me guess. Shibuya Osusuki. Jiraiya, confused what the hell was going on. The mere sight of this person made his bones tremble as he felt this raw wave of energy thus circulating nearby. It felt like he was going to be crushed, like he was going to be swallowed. The Sannin was terrified of this power. Shiba-Yosuke, within the elemental nation, a faint smile on his face as he looked at Naruto. "We should probably have a conversation," he said. "Is that so?" said Naruto. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next part, and do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.